Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this blog and video take a look at the really important to understand issue of what it will mean for you when Rahu, the North Node of the Moon, transits or aspects your natal planets in Aries. Note that obviously every person in the world will be affected by what Rahu is doing to Aries energy and what Rahu is doing to our natal planets in Aries, or to planets in our birth chart that get aspected or influenced by Rahu transiting Aries. And you can see my whole series about the effect of the nodes of the moon changing sign from the 12th of April. Rahu into Aries, Ketu into Libra. So important to understand. The links are all down below the video in YouTube and at the end of the blog post. So first of all, what does it mean if you've got Sun in Aries, if Rahu is transiting your Sun in Aries or aspecting your Sun elsewhere in the chart? Now, positively, this transit of Rahu over your natal Sun in Aries gives you the opportunity to establish your individuality, your independence of spirit, and it can favour success. But do beware preposterousness, me-firstism, my way or the highwayism. Beware exaggerated self-insistence and self-assertion. Rahu transiting Sun is very expansionary, and as always, check out the meaning of the life area. With all of these transit meanings I'm going to give you, check out what house it is that the sign of Aries is in your Vedic natal chart, because houses tell us about life area. And on my Star Wheel Astrology website, there's a whole page saying what's the life area of each house. You can look that up. Also, check out what dasha or Vedic predictive period you're in. This will have an impact on how you will think, feel and behave during your Rahu to Sun transit in Aries now. With Rahu energy intertwined with Sun, there could be a strand of rebellion, confrontation of the bizarre, even dark billowing clouds of obsession. And of course, remember that at this time, Ketu is transiting Libra for the coming 18 months. And for everybody in the world, this will make us more critical of our relationship, but we need to see the higher potential of that, which actually is to promote shared understanding within the relationship at this time, and thus the growth of greater love and commitment. So don't let the me first Rahu transiting Aries energy destroy your chances of relationship. Don't let it destroy your relationship. Okay, let's move on to Rahu transits your moon in Aries, if you've got moon in Aries, or indeed if Rahu's aspecting your moon. Rahu transiting our moon can cause fears, paranoias, destabilizations and disturbances. It can even be dark or demonic. But it can assist us in having higher intuitive insights, especially indeed at the Gandanta zone, which is at the very start of Aries. And so of course Rahu won't exactly conjunct that until 18 months' time, though all of Aries feels the effect of a Rahu transit, and progressively the end of Pisces will too. Rahu casts a huge effect. So the key task if Rahu is transiting our moon in Aries, is to manage our minds at this time. What about Rahu transits Mercury in Aries? Well, at its best, this brings abundant mental and communication energy. But remember, the Rahu-Mercury combination can be scattered and compulsive and ADHD. And in Aries, there's a risk of aggressive rant. Negatively, it can be very selfish and possibly even sometimes into darker manifestations. So use this energy for rightful, powerful communication. And the Rahu transits Mercury in Aries can also increase our psychic utterance, especially, for example, if Aries is your 8th house. So moving on to Rahu transits Venus in Aries or aspects your natal Venus elsewhere. Rahu transiting Venus can be driven and indulgent, greedy, driven for sex or luxury or beauty. The Venus-Mars combination, remember Mars rules Aries, is actually not good for harmonious relationship. Western astrology overrates the Venus-Mars connection. With this Venus being in Aries, actually I doubt the creative or artistic potential of Venus will be enhanced by this Rahu transit. But all Venusian desires and drives are enhanced. Rahu transits your Mars in Aries or aspects Mars elsewhere. Mars rules Aries, and it's super strong and assertive, impulsive, fearless and risk-taking. Rahu transiting here will give you such assertive energy. You can accomplish much. Beware, however, that Rahu can bring scatter and obsession, anger and aggression, and lack of sensitivity. The Rahu-Mars energy is very impulsive, even violent. Energies that are pent up inside you or suppressed inside you can erupt now. The Rahu transit of Jupiter in Aries. Well, there's the danger that Rahu can actually over-amplify Jupiter energy and tinge it with obsession or impurity. This transit creates what's called Guru Chandala Yoga. But the Rahu-Jupiter transit can, if properly managed, bring out expansion, but also extremes. So handle this one wisely if you have it, and with perception. Aim for properly gained success. Now, because Mars rules Aries, there's the danger that the Jupiterian philosophy could become driven, could be me first, aggressive, arbitrary or ungrounded. So let's move on to Rahu transits Saturn in Aries. Now, Rahu transiting Saturn is driven, hard-working. It's almost a concentration camp energy. It can make one feel rather depressed often. But the long-drawn, hard work, remember this, is capable of bringing you benefits and rewards. Now, both Saturn and Rahu may bring difficulties into our life at this time. There could very well be a strong element of karma to face and deal with now. But at the highest, out of the delays and setbacks of Rahu transiting Saturn can come discipline and stability. You may well need to take action to deal with phobias or depression at this time. And this transit can sometimes bring out degenerative diseases. Rahu transits Uranus in Aries. When Rahu transits conjunct your natal natal Uranus in Aries now, well, you'd be in your 80s. But of course, remember, Rahu may well form other aspects to natal Uranus. Now, the Rahu-Uranus energy is maverick and can be warlike. It can manifest through gadgets and computers. It's revolutionary, creative, shocking. It's individualistic. And remember this, it's actually magnified now because Rahu and Uranus are actually about to collide in the heavens. The transit conjunction of the two will be exact on the 1st of August 2022, when it will also be conjunct Mars, all three at 24-degree Aries. You certainly won't have to be in your 80s to be affected by this one. The whole world, everyone will be affected by it. So check out if you have planets around 24-degree Aries or aspected by it. Now, quite obviously, this Rahu-Uranus-Mars stellium will have a huge impact on individual lives and on world events. Remember, it will oppose Libra, the exact opposition being to 24 degrees Libra. And of course, Rahu's aspect will spread to Leo and Sagittarius too, because of Rahu's trine aspect. Now, the Rahu-Uranus energy obviously can produce sudden, unexpected events. It's very volatile. Sensationalists will love this energy. What about when Rahu transits Neptune in Aries? Well, no one now lives who has Neptune in Aries in their birth chart. The last time Neptune entered sidereal Aries was 1871, because Neptune's orbital period is 165 years. But of course, Rahu may well form other aspects to your natal Neptune. So it's important to realise that the Rahu-Neptune energy combination is visionary, the dreamer, the clairvoyant. It can bring you psychic and spiritual experiences, but negatively beware driven clouds of delusion, deception or dishonesty, and it can bring out corruption. At its best, it's the idealistic vision guide. What about when Rahu transits Pluto in Aries? Well, obviously no one now lives with Pluto in Aries in their birth chart. Pluto last entered sidereal Aries in 1843. Pluto's orbital period is 248 years. But of course, Rahu may well form other sorts of aspects to your natal Pluto. Now, the Rahu-Pluto energy combination is things like the revelation of buried power, the bringing to the light of your fuller power, the bringing to the light of your blocks in order that we may positively heal them. The Rahu-Pluto energy can bring great growth and success. It can drive one for wealth. Negatively, of course, it's the driven would-be demagogue or dictator, or the dark obsessive. But it can certainly drive one for power. It can bring overwhelming events for which Mars is often the trigger. Rahu to Pluto transits are immensely transformational and need to be understood and embraced in a healing way, in a positive, empowering way. It's very good to do dream work if you've got one of these transits going on. Rahu-Pluto combination can be occult or famous. So, let's go next to Rahu transits Chiron in Aries. Chiron last entered sidereal Aries in 1974, although Chiron wasn't discovered till November 1977. Its orbital period's 50 years. Now this energy will impel us to more fully contact our wounds. And remember, Rahu doesn't just aspect Chiron in Aries. It can form other aspects to Chiron elsewhere in your birth chart. But it will bring out an obsessive connection to wounds. And perhaps the highest way of responding to that is to identify the constructs that arrive in your mind, that are your wounds, and then, as it were, to joust with them, to become the hero. Align your mind and life with the healing of your wounds if Rahu's transiting in aspect to Chiron in your chart. Align it to the direction of your fate and destiny this time. Less constructively handled, however, our sense of our wounds will grow and grow like monsters in our consciousness. We'll be overtaken by a succession of obsessions and fears. But remember, unless we joust with them, unless we see them more fully and joust with them and overcome them and become the hero, we are not responding to the Rahu-Chiron transit in the best way at all. Okay, we come on to the really big one. Rahu transits your natal Rahu in Aries. This, of course, is your nodal return. Your nodal return happens every 8.5 years and reconnects you to your incarnational life purpose, always at a higher and higher level, ideally. It reconnects you to your fate and destiny direction in this lifetime. At the time of your nodal return, your life will usually have to be reformed and set off in a new direction. The energy will be potent, even frightening and driven. This is a really important time to work to contact and understand your past lives and identify in particular what past life material was central to your incarnation this time. You need to identify that and work with that. It's a really important time to understand, what is my incarnational life purpose now? In general terms, with Rahu in Aries in your birth chart, you incarnated to be more independent. Perhaps you were too weak or too codependent in the last life. You incarnated this time to innovate and self-start and become the warrior hero in some way. And of course, check out what house Aries is in your birth chart. That will give an idea of the life area you're supposed to put Rahu energies into. So get a reading from me about the nodes of the moon changing sign, Rahu into Aries, Ketu into Leo, and especially if it's your natal return now. It's crucial to get it right. As I said, it happens every 18.5 years. And so, for example, if you wanted a reading, my reading will encompass your nodal axis, Ketu and Rahu in your chart, interpreted by the sign and house they fall in your chart and the aspects they form to other planets. Of course, it will centrally bring in your Atmakarika planet, your soul indicator planet. It will centrally bring in your Navamsha chart, the 9th harmonic chart, at least as important as the birth chart, which is a statement of our past life issues, of our relationship issues in this life, and of our ideal ashram in this life, what is your ideal way of life to be aimed at and to arrive at for this life. And of course it'll also bring in your current transits, your current dasha predictive periods, your Varsh file that's prevailing, your solar return. And of course, the declaration of any planets that are conjunct or square your nodal axis. Plus, certainly I always combine Western astrology with Vedic astrology, plus your psychodynamic Western astrology birth chart. And the very accurate, I find, unfoldment points, the predictive unfoldment points of psychodynamic Western astrology, your individuation age point, getting to know your psychological self, and your nodal age point, the whisper of your soul to you from the astral now. And of course, I'd include a declaration of your star energies, which are crucial to understanding why you're here, what the life purpose is, especially your heliacal rising star, your heliacal setting star, stars aspecting your natal planets and imparans. So if it is your nodal return now and in the coming 18 months, open up to the situation, focus on it. Build up cognitive understanding of the nature of your destiny and life purpose. Break down your prison walls, the effect of your upbringing or social conditioning, which prevents you seeing what your incarnational life purpose is. I would say, do vision work and dream work now to enhance our awareness of the unfoldment of our life purpose now, to bring it to great success. Do energy work now, heal now, empower now, grow now. And obviously, if your natal Rahu is in Aries, which it will be in the time frame we're now focusing on,